Yes.
Okay, so good morning, you all. I'm Ali Akbar Afsan, and I have done the research about Brainprint, which I believe which I believe is the future of passwords. So here is the introduction. Uh, basically, what is a Brainprint? Brain To me, Brainprint is a protocol for identifying people with their brain activity. So it's like we all know that the brain is always powered on 24 hours 7, and usually when we see a brain activity, the graph is always like up and down. It's actually always emitting signals, which is called as brainwaves. So brainwaves generated from a person is collected in this brainprint protocol and processed to verify with the previous stored data. So basically the idea is based on a scientific notation that is national, that is everyone is supposed to have a unique memory and knowledge, which brings to the basic process of it, of collecting brain waves from the brain. So what does it do? It uses an electroencephalogram headset, as you can see over here. It actually and and analyzes your personality with the data that it receives in the computer. So this is Miss Maria. She is like one of the key researchers of this project. According to her, she says like you can see over here that the two EEG collected from different people are more different than two EEG that are collected from the same person based on the same similar data. For example, two persons were shown a picture, and the EEG was recorded like how they feel about that picture. As you can see, the subject 15 and subject 15 over here, the two-person had the same feeling, the same EEG, which is similar, and it's different than the second person who has two EEG, which is also similar to their first and second data. So using this fact, the researchers has achieved over 95% identification as of 2018 accuracy using EEG biometric. So why do we need this biometric system? Previously, you can see around like December 2014, um, a German politician's fingerprint was cloned from photos just taken by a hacker. I mean, she was just delivering a key speech at somewhere in Berlin, and so this hacker went there and took pictures of her fingers. So high digitalized fingerprint. So what he did was he basically put it into a software, and he could finally crack thousands of data and showed her like how it's vulnerable. And not only that, you can there is in 2015 real hacker like the real hacker stole the fingerprints files of 5.6 million workers from the US Office of Personnel Management. The researchers were thus motivated to create the brain biometrics, as they are cancellable and cannot be stolen by malicious means, the way finger or retina print can. So the thing is, imagine a person that is in charge of like nuclear codes or like other security devices, or is holds a very high position in a bank or somewhere, that without his authorizations like things could go haywire. So the thing is, imagine if this person's credentials were stolen, there could be like wars. Like imagine nuclear war codes being stolen, and there is another war. So what can we do? We can replace the person. We can, but the harm will be always done, because the thing is, fingerprints, iris scan, or other biometric system that we have, it's actually not cancelable, because once a person's fingerprints get stolen, you cannot cut their fingers, and fingers can grow new fingerprints. So why? So that's the reason researchers saw that, we can focus our studies to brain, since it's much more permanent and it can have the, although the brain is in an unlikely event that the attackers can steal a brain print, the authorized user can simply receive their brain print, as in, input some new data and then just take the new brain waves for password management. Hence, so I'm just gonna give a bit history about the origination. Uh, the lady over here is Miss Sarah Laszlo, who is uh, who is in charge of Department of Psychology. She actually collaborated with her student, Miss Maria. So they actually saw that how EEG from every human is different and responds to different words, different images, and different things that are shown to them over a certain period of time. And they implemented with Mr. Zhanpeng Jin, who is a researcher at, he was an engineer at University of Buffalo, and the three collaborated to start this Brainprint technology to see if users can be authenticated and verified, and whether they could implement this on a biometrics level. So how it works, as you can see, recently another researcher whose name is Wen Yao Zhao, and he actually came up that, that everyone is using biometrics every day. So he thinks, like, are they trustable? Of course not, because the latest research is based that says that everything can be had, like we have um, automated cars, we have like credit cards, we have like online verifications, we have fingerprint, which can unlock a phone. So as far as we know that everything has been hacked and is still a threat. So the latest research, so he has a solution, he calls it the brain password, which is a secure and cancelable brain-based biometrics for smart headwear. So as smart headwears, VR devices will still have a market net worth of like around 25 billion USD by 2022. The devices has VR devices has already been applied in military, transportation, medical, and educational field. Significant. So how significant it is to authenticate the user of a smart headwear? So far, it's only limited to private use, like personal viewing recorder, which is offered by Google Glass. It's also being used as a security devices, like VR, AR shipping system of Alibaba. Also as a personal safety measurement in autonomous uh, vehicle, like the ones BMW is implementing on its AR assistive driving system. So the current practice is that, what's the current practice to authenticate the user of smart headwear? Unfortunately, most of the devices offers nothing. Like there is no password, no user login. Only a relative small portion of them uses the smartphone or the other personal devices as login tokens for the user authentication. It is not that convenient, as there is not independent security. Hence, new authentication is needed for the smart headwear. So, how does other personal devices do authentication? As far as we have seen that, you know, um, these days biometrics are replacing the PIN codes to unlock the PIN password device, which are becoming widely used in smart devices, like this part, like fingers and maybe like the face recognition, right? The voice biometrics, iris. So the existing biometrics is what they are using is both has a unique psychological and behavior features in body parts to identify individuals like fingerprints or like handwriting, but the problems and limitation is that it's not continuous. It's just like one time and then you can just continue using that phone. So imagine your phone being stolen. The thief actually takes a picture of your face or manages to unlock it by force, and he just gets away with it. And so it's easy to duplicate, and once like it's been divulged, it's compromised forever. So it's not a cancelable system. So now we come to the brain biological structure. So how it works, basically the brain brain. So the idea is to develop a brain password, which is like the combination between the traditional password and traditional biometrics and the password. It's gonna leverage the brain's biological structure and the non-volitional memories, which is the ERP, the ERP, event-related potential, a special, let's just say it's a special brainwave. So as it is a non-volitional brainwaves, it is very unique to the brain structure and the memories of user. It is only evoked by the stimulus, that is when it processes something. Once we apply the stimuli on the user, we show the user something, the brain will automatically generate the ERP, the brain signals. It is not controlled by the user. So imagine you don't have to actually memorize the password or think of anything. A picture or something will just be shown to you and your brain will just automatically process. So it's not controlled by the user with no image in front of the user or auditory, like sense of hearing, stimuli. They cannot generate the ERP by themselves. So you cannot even recall of the image. So even if you recall of the image and try to open it, it won't, because the signals actually will vary. So these figures, as you can see from here, shares examples of what ERPs look like. So here on the left, you can see the stimuli that that there are three peaks that follow 1, 2, and 3 follow a stimuli. It's called P1, P2, and P3, which are the pictures starting from 300 milliseconds after the image onset. So, and the right figure is shows the examples of the ERP. We can see three different users shows three different ERP waves for the same data stimuli. Note that how the colors shows three peaks and the lows of each person's with different reactions. So the brain password concept overview. This is how basically brain password will work. The user will wear a headset like a VR device over here. It's a head mounted display and a set of pictures will be showed in front of the user. The user will be authenticated. This brain password concept has four advantages. It's effortless. That means the user does not need to think about anything but just look at the picture and the brain will respond simultaneously. Second is continuous. As you can see that it is a continuous authentication. The picture can be integrated during the video of the working sessions when using the VR and continuously making sure to authenticate the identity of the user. The Brainprint is secure. It is secure as because the users cannot disclose the brainwaves easily, and more importantly, one cannot force other, causing stress. It won't match. I mean, imagine like if a thief or a, someone is forcing you to unlock the device or something for themselves, but it won't work during stress. So how? And mainly the brain print is cancelable, as it says how can a new brain password be generated of new credentials? Just simply replace the figures, these images, plus word, and then it will be just replaced with new results. So the brain password generation, how brain password will be generated. So how we design the visual stimuli to obtain the most distinct brain waves. So when a picture is shown in front of the users, we want them to generate distinctive brain waves. See over here. So here is a brain model hypothesis. As you can see, a certain area in the brain is where we would like to stimulate, and to reflect a certain function capability of the brain in the research studies based on the brain models, researchers particularly look at three parts. Those are intraparietal sulcus, which is related to the declarative memory, inferior parietal lobule, which is related to the face recognition, and temporoparietal junction, which is related to reading comprehension. So, based on the hypothesis that is designed, visual stimuli set is made in three types, which are declarative memory. Over here, you can see declarative memory can be a picture of an animal, and face recognition, that means a face recognition of, let's say, celebrities, because we all know most of them, and it's a common face than using normal people's face. And reading comprehension, it's supposed to be based on text, and a text that actually stimulates a feeling or a thought that is aspire to inspire, or it could be pursue one greatness. So the brain password implementation, once the set of stimuli set has been set, the protocols are set, the brain password system will be implemented. How it will be implemented? The brain wave acquisition platform actually says that it will include both hardware and software. As in the hardware part, there will be a brain sensor headset with a low impedance contact, which will range from 100 to 500 kilo ohms, and the sampling rate will be at 1000 hertz. Three electrodes, these three electrode channels P3, PZ, and P4, and will be used for data collection. Angle legs, here are some angle legs, will be used to help push hair aside for better contact, and it can be connected to wearables either with, let's say, GPIO, or wireless things as Bluetooth. So the software part, there will be signal processing with built-in microcontroller, and it will extract brain features such as autoregressive model, power spatial density, and the eigenvector. So uh, so basically it's overall framework and proof of concept system integration, which has been already built according to the previous data. So users will wear head-mounted display, where this display can set the stimulus and such to the digital acquisition of EEG. The headset will do the signal processing and set the authentication result with either yes or no when the head mounted display. So as you can see, like the person will obviously have a VR screen. He will see the pictures on the board, and the brainwaves will process these things with and it will give a neural response, which will be meshed with the owner's like previous database with the new record from the neural response, and it will detect whether it's the owner of that particular device or it's an intruder. So this is how ERP acquisition protocol will work. As you can see, like the experiment, what it had was one stimulus duration is like 200 milliseconds, the like stimulus between the pictures and the words. So the stimuli interval is a black screen displayed for 200 milliseconds to refresh the brain. It's just basically a black screen between two, like every slides. So the stimulus set will have one animal, one face, and one text, the duration of one round will be 200 plus 200 into 3, which will be like 1.2 seconds of total 3 images. So the number of rounds will be 4. There will be like 4 rounds to just to verify this one set of data. So one session of brain password will take only just 5 seconds to set. So this is like enabling cancelability. I mean, how do we enable this? As you can see, like the past so far, like there will be like millions of pictures or thousands of information, and basically like which stimuli do we choose, whether there is a perfect stimuli or there is a you know effective stimuli. So the password update strategy is basically how to update the password with new stimuli, like how to select the effective stimuli for all users. As you can see, password update strategy has two criterion. The new password should be able to reach the comparable performance with the old password. The old password and new password should be distinct to each other, just like how traditional passwords works these days. So just to reach that, a new matrix is called the spatial temporal warping distance. It involves like a lot of calculations and formulas. Uh, it will basically just quantify the similarity between these two brain waves, the old password and the new password. So cancelability analysis. How do we say that whether the old passwords and two passwords are similar or distinct? So basically, it has two properties, two criteria. That is revocability. That means if we generate a new brain password, whether it is qualified as a brain biometrics, like the accuracy for user authentication with other users, is like different from other users. So it's very important that we see that your password, that your brain stimuli is different from other users. We try to focus on that. And second is unlinkability. That is, we need to make sure that the two passwords are not linked or related to each other. That is, your password and the other person's password cannot be same or related to each other. The Also that the old password, the previous password that you stored and want to change with the new one, for example, the existing password system, existing password update system we already use, both of them cannot be similar. Just like we do for the new passwords, where it's like, let's say if your password is 123, and you cannot, for new passwords you cannot put 1234. So basically it would either have to be 567 or any other letters. So now we talk about the performance evaluation that is conducted. So the experimental setup is basically just have SVM and RVF kernel. These two are basically just correlation of maths and formulas for the collection. The pool size is for cancelability is 300 images. They started with 300 images and 100 in each type. That means 100 of animals, 100 of celebrity faces, and one like hundreds of texts. So in all, 1 million of combined. And the participants were 179 adult participants, and they had the average age of 29.85. So just rounded to almost 30. So 93 males and 86 females. They were made sure that no brain or oculus disease, like they don't have a history of any medical or like brain disease or any pain or any trauma or anything. So they were actually screened before these experiments, and they were make sure that they were in an empty room without any disturbance, and they were sitting still on a chair, distant from the VR. So we now talk about the accuracy performance. I mean, the accurate study was done by combining all the single type of stimuli, like the animal face and taste. It was just, you can see it's added up, and it was found that with diverse stimuli, with animal face, text, the brain passwords can reach the best performance above 95% accurate. So this is what they say is the F score. So about talking about the EER, that the equal error rate. EER are very typical metrics to quantify the performance of this biometric system, and it is, you can see, it's only 2.5, the equal error rate. So we talk about the time efficiency. Time efficiency is all about optimizing the authentication or the entire process and the total durations. So as you can see, the durations were studied with 3 trials: 200, 400, 200 milliseconds, 400, and 600 milliseconds. It was found that 200 milliseconds is the best performance, because if the duration is more than 200 milliseconds, the brain wave have chances to be contaminated by the eye movement, which in result contaminates the data. We talk about the cancellability evaluation, which has two criteria as well, as in the revocability. We look at the accuracy with old brain password, and the new brain password. We see that the accuracy of new and old brain password are very close, at like 95%. And about the unlinkability, we look at the false acceptance rate. That is, how the chances of unsuccessful one, as you can see, like it's like more or less like 0.7, 0.80%. So it has been throughout the entire study that there is unlikely, like less than 1% chance that there might be a password match to another user, or it might not be accurate. So the so now you might have questions that whether my brain password or my brain print will change over time. So as you can see, the way to verify the robustness of the ERP credential, the study was conducted with the same people in short term and long term. The short term was the 5 days after the pre uh, after credential pre-trial, and the second one is long term, which was after that 5 months after credential pre-trial. So as you can see, the pre-trial and long term in 5 months, like hardly was any changes. The change was like 0.02% to 1%. So over here, the animal face and text, you can see the amplitude almost remains the same. So that was the updated research. I mean, what we have found on the Brainprint, and what we can say is there is still a scope of exploration. I mean, there are still research to be done. There are still a lot of things to consider of, let's say, the brain password capacity. I mean, we don't know how our brain works. So maybe there are like other parts of the brain, the auditory, the hearing one, the haptic, the other stimuli, which can also might generate new passwords or new combinations. And we have to there is exploration to be made in this field. Also, the age effect or life accident. I mean, so far the research has been only conducted with the highest time as 5 months. So there needs to be more experiments, which needs to be more than 1 year. And the privacy issues. I mean, so far the 3 channels with small information disclosure, like there could be chances of like limited privacy leakage. I mean, we don't know of yet. And since, as you can see, that there are many advanced machine learning attack which recognizes pattern and tries to hack the system, so generative adversary networks needs to be learned ERPs. So that was like most of the in-depth studies about research. So basically, what Brainprint will have implementations. The team envisions that the application of this brain print or brain password is being like more along the lines of high security physical locations where there aren't many that users that are authorized to enter, for like the Pentagon or the Air Force labs, in banking sectors, in law enforcement and airport security. we could use this Brainprint to, you know, authenticate users in less than 5 seconds without any hassles. As I have said before, the limitations is, and the external limitations is considered of the cost. I mean, the cost of to expand this research, the cost of the headgear, which is still not designed well, because we want to have uh, an efficient headgear like a Google Glass, like which will have like 3 to 4 nodes to take our passwords, and we can wear them easily. So there still needs to be, experiments to be done and further research on the topic. So in short, I will wrap up the conclusion. So the first exploratory is like, so far, the references, the journals I have collected, and I have checked with the updated one, which is the 2018 one. So the first exploratory research, so this my research is actually on the cancelable brain biometrics. It's the first exploratory research, and it's an ERP-based brain biometric authentication protocol for smart headwears in the future. And it actually delivers end-to-end system integration and experiments to evaluate cancelability. So it's just based on our visual stimuli, the brainwaves you will emit, which you don't even need to think about. The ERPs hence will processed in a small computer, or it can be over cloud networks, and the user authentications will be made successfully in less than 5 seconds. So thank you all. That will be my end of the presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Ali. That was actually an extremely detailed presentation, and I hope that all of you
Thank you,
have.
sir.
Yeah, I hope that all of you have gained that knowledge about the necessary knowledge about this brain biometrics. So